Welcome back to Planet Doug Behind the Scenes for Sunday, July 30th, 2023. It's about 7:15 in the morning. As always, kettle's on the boil, waiting for my first cup of coffee of the morning. Yeah, I don't know if my thoughts are organized in my head yet because I just woke up and took a shower and feel like I should wait half an hour before I start to gather my thoughts because I'm not thinking that clearly yet. I'm not fully awake, but I don't know. I thought I would dive straight into my stories from yesterday. And I'm kind of eager to tell that story because there's a lot of food for thought. Because yesterday was the first day of scooter rental. So I woke up in the morning, with a scooter, and I could go anywhere I wanted to go on a day trip. And I decided to go to a village called This drives me crazy. I mean, no matter how many times I try, I can never get the pronunciation of these places right. I don't know what the right pronunciation is, but anyway, Pariangan. It's a village. And it was first suggested to me by Fauzan, a young man here in the village. He actually lives in Bukatingi, but I met him here in the village recently, and he suggested this village as a place I should visit, whether by bicycle or however I get there. And when I was doing some research into it, I discovered that years ago, some kind of a travel magazine had called this village one of the 5 most beautiful villages in the world. And that's pretty heady praise, when you think about all the beautiful villages out there. So I thought, wow, okay, that's something even if the village doesn't live up to that title, surely the scenery around there is going to be nice, and it would be an interesting place to go by scooter. And it was kind of the perfect distance as a place to go. I just checked, and I think I covered about 90 kilometers for the whole day. So it was like 45 kilometers to get there, and then 45 kilometers coming back. So it was a 90-kilometer day. And the whole day that I was on the scooter, I was, when I was talking about the whole experience and shooting a video for Planet Doug, I was comparing it often to riding a bicycle because that would have been my other alternative. Normally, I would have gone to a place like this by bicycle. But it was pretty clear that as a day trip, to be honest, as any kind of a trip, it wasn't a place you could get to by bicycle unless you were Superman or you wanted to compete with Superman and prove that you have, the ultimate power to get up that hill. Because it was a long uphill climb. I mean, steep, just steep. Even from here, basically, it's on the other side of the volcano. I'm here in Sarik, and Mount Merapi is here, and this village, Pariangan, is over here. It's like on the other side of the volcano. So the way I would get there is from here, the main road goes straight up from here, up, to sort of a shoulder on the volcano. There's a ridge that connects 2 volcanoes together, and the highway, or the road that I would follow, goes from my village all the way up to this shoulder, and then down the other side, and then around the base of the volcano, and then straight up the volcano to this village. And so steep. To ride a bike there, for my money, would not be feasible. And to ride all the way there, enjoy being there, and then ride all the way back, a 90-kilometer day in those conditions, in that traffic, in this heat, it just would have been absolutely brutal. So the conclusion was definitely that a scooter was the only way to do this. You could go up there by car if you happen to have a car or something like that, but you needed a motorized vehicle or a donkey, or you could walk up there as a hike, you could do that, but then the distances are a little bit overwhelming. So from a point of view of having a scooter, it was perfect. It was like the perfect way to get to this village. Of course, the first thing I had to do was prepare for the day. Figure out how to get there, what roads I wanted to follow, and then pack up my camera gear. I spent most of the afternoon of the previous day trying to figure out the best way to mount a GoPro on the scooter. And I was only maybe 50% successful with that. And I put together a little bit of a survival kit, thinking ahead to anything that could happen on the road, what to bring with me. So I made sure to bring along, a raincoat in case it rains, an umbrella, rain covers for my knapsack. So prepare for the rain. And like minor breakdowns or something. Like I just brought my basic toolkit that I bring along with my bicycle in case there's something that needs to be tightened or loosened, mainly to do with my cameras. I mean, the scooter was in great condition. There was nothing to worry about on the scooter. But you never know. It's just always nice to have... I'd hate to be somewhere and not be prepared with at least a pair of pliers and a screwdriver and a zip tie, things like that. And Band-Aids, you could easily scrape your foot or something on the footrest or whatever, so bring a little bit of some Band-Aids and stuff like that. So I went through all the gear that I have here that I normally bring on my bicycle, and then I thought, okay, what should I bring today on the scooter ride? So I put that together. And then in the morning, I wanted to get gas. There was half a tank of gas, and I wasn't sure how far that would get me. So I thought, well, a rule of thumb, start the day with a full tank. Like even if you have a destination and you know the mileage of your scooter and you know how much gas is in your tank and you know that this amount of gas will get you there and back, okay, what's the point of doing that? Like, why risk it? Because you could get there and decide you want to spend the night, or it breaks down and you have to spend the night, or there's a detour and you have to cover more ground, and then you run out of gas or something. Of course, you can get gas almost anywhere in Indonesia because life is ruled by scooters and motorcycles, and people sell gas at their houses. They put gasoline in 1.5 liter plastic bottles. You buy it by the liter. They put 1 liter of gas in these bottles, and then you buy it at the side of the road. Even in every village, you start asking around, somebody's going to have some gas. So you don't, it's not like you're going to be stuck for the rest of your life, but it's an annoyance, definitely, to run out of gas. So why not fill up before you go? Like, start the day with a full tank. Just makes sense. So the first thing I did was head to a small gas station near here. There's a tiny one just up the road, and they have one pump. And I hadn't looked into gas before, except the young man who helped me rent the scooter, he told me about 3 different types of gas. Like you see it at the side of the road. There's green, blue, and red. And green is the cheapest, blue is the medium, and the red is the premium gas. And he said for this scooter, what you want is the cheap stuff, the green stuff. Like red is designed for high-powered motorcycle engines, like bigger engines. And the green stuff is meant for a scooter like this. So if you're looking at the bottles, just look for green and blue. That's what you want. You don't want the red. So that was clear in my mind. But of course, you go to a gas station that has just one pump. The guy pumping the gas, I assumed he had some kind of a control mechanism. He could choose what type of gas to give you, but then you have to tell him what kind of gas you want. And I didn't know. I kind of went to the gas station without preparing in advance. And I thought maybe I could, talk to him and Google Translate. He could tell me what kind of gas. Like I would just ride up on my scooter and point at the scooter and assume he would know what kind of gas to put in. He's not going to fill it up with diesel, right? I hope. He's the expert. So I kind of went there, and when I got there, I just kind of looked at the guy and I kind of pointed at the scooter and gas and trying to indicate with my body language that I'm leaving it up to him to make the best choice for me and my scooter and my life, right? And at the time, he didn't push a button or anything. He just grabbed the nozzle, and after I told him full, fill it to the top, he just started putting gas in. He didn't change settings or do anything. So it seemed like most of the people going there were on scooters. So I think his default setting for pumping gas was scooter gas. And I'm assuming that for local people, the default setting would also be the cheapest scooter gas. Nobody's going to voluntarily just, I'll take the more expensive stuff if they don't need it, why get the expensive stuff? So I just assumed the default setting was okay for me. He filled it up. And then later on, though, I saw him change. Like when I was leaving, I hung out for a couple of minutes just to watch because I wanted to understand the system. And someone came up on a much nicer vehicle. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, this guy spoke to him for a minute or a few seconds or something, talking about something. And then the gas station attendant went around to the side of his pump mechanism, and there was a keypad there. Then he punched in some numbers, and I noticed that the price per liter jumped from 12,800 per liter, about 85 cents US. It jumped to 15,000 rupiah. Did I say rupiah the first time? 12,800 rupiah per liter for the cheap stuff. And then I saw the price jump up to 15,000. Nothing else changed. Like I didn't see the name of the gas or anything like that. All I saw was the price go up. So I assumed this guy asked for the good stuff, and then the guy went to the keypad and changed the pump setting to, okay, now pump the good stuff, the more expensive stuff. So that is how it works. And then at the end of the day, I discovered I used up exactly half a tank. So it turned out I did the right thing. Like I had half a tank, and to be honest, I thought a half a tank would easily get me to this village and back. I thought, I'd probably use up a quarter tank, so I've got half a tank, I'll use a quarter, and I'll have a quarter left. But as it turned out, I went there, came back, and the first thing I did when I came back to the village was just go straight back to the gas station and fill the tank to the top again. Because I figured if I'm going somewhere today in the morning, well, start the day with a full tank. I'm on the road, don't wait until the morning to do it. Just do it right now, while you have time. So I went there, and it turned out in the morning, I paid 20,000 rupiah to fill the tank from half to full. The tank was probably a little bit over half, who knows exactly. But anyway, I put in 20,000 rupiah worth of gas, and then I went to the village and back, and then when I returned to the same gas station, told them to fill it up, it came to exactly 20,000 rupiah. So the exact amount that I put in was the exact amount that I used for the day trip. And if it really was half a tank, that means my trip to the village and back would have put my gas tank at empty by the time I got back. So filling the tank was a good idea. That surprised me though. Like I said, I drove 90 kilometers, and that's half a tank. So a full tank, would get me around 180 kilometers for a full tank. And somehow I had it in my mind that I could go farther than that on a full tank. So, I don't know. I'll have to do the math and keep track of the mileage and see how that works out. So I had gas, I had a full tank, I had cameras running, I'd cleaned the visor on my helmet. I wasn't entirely happy with the visor on this helmet because it's almost like a full face visor. It comes right down over my mouth. I kind of want just a half. I want it to cover my eyes. And what I'd like to do is raise the visor and maybe just wear glasses and like sunglasses or something to keep the wind off my eyes. And then I don't have to deal with the visor because, there's always scratches, and no matter how much you clean a visor, it's never like looking at the world with your eyes. You're always looking through a barrier. And then when I'm breathing, if I'm breathing heavy, I fog up the visor a little bit. But the worst thing, as it turned out, was the effect on audio for my video, because I was using this microphone under my shirt as I normally do. And on a bicycle, to me, it sounds great. Riding a bike with the wind blowing on it, even though it's under the shirt, the audio quality sounds fine to me, to hear my voice, the timbre of my voice. I like the sound. But I checked when I got back. I haven't edited the video, of course, but I copied the video files, and when I was doing that, I listened to one or two, and it just sounded weird to me because I think my voice echoes around inside this visor, and then it goes straight down into the microphone. And there was it overpowered the microphone, or it distorted it, or it made my voice sound weird. I don't know for sure yet. I haven't edited the video, as I said, but just when listening to it casually, it's like, ooh, man, I don't like that sound at all. So I'd like to figure out a way to keep the visor up, because I couldn't keep it up because it just falls down. It won't stay in place when I put it up. So I might have to work out a system, another Planet Doug rubber band special, just to hold the visor up, and then I can wear sunglasses, and then my face is free, and I can feel the wind on my face, and it would be better for the microphone. We'll see. Something new technological to work on today. And the other big technological problem I had was the GoPro again. Drives me crazy. I don't know if it's me, my life, my karma, the technology gods hate me, but for whatever reason, my main GoPro, which I haven't had any trouble with really for a long time in terms of freezing and glitching and stuff like that, yesterday it decided to kick my butt. It just froze all the time, just froze and froze and froze, and I'd have to keep restarting it, pulling the battery, restarting it, and then I'd get this message from the GoPro, oh, we are attempting to repair your file, because you're taking video all this time, and then it freezes, and then you're stuck, and then you pull the battery, put the battery back in, or you do a reset. Sometimes the reset worked this time, like holding the power button for 10 seconds or something to reset it, and then you don't have to pull the battery. And then I get this message, GoPro is attempting to repair your file, and then it would say repair successful. Oh, wow, okay, it recovered the file from when it glitched and froze. But then when I tried to play the file on the GoPro, it says, no, this file can't be viewed. And then when I got back yesterday, I copied all the video files. About 10% of them were corrupted. Maybe more. I haven't done the math. Call it 15%. There was a lot of them. So and this drives me crazy on the MacBook too. I don't understand Apple systems. I don't understand iOS. I don't understand MacBooks. I've never had these problems with other computers, like with Windows computers. So what I do is I put the memory card, of course, into a memory card reader plugged into the computer, and then you open up Apple Finder. It's their file management program for copying files and creating folders and things like that. And then I create a folder that says, the date and then the name of the day, and, create a folder to copy the video files. And I go to the memory card, copy all, Control A, copy, paste into that folder, and then it starts copying all the video files. But then it turns out, like I said, 15% of the files were corrupted. But that, for some reason, they're corrupted in that they're not readable video files, but the MacBook won't copy them either. Like and when it hits it, it stops the entire copy job. Like I say, copy 30, or no, more than that, copy 50 video files into this folder, and it'll copy like 7 of them, then it'll hit one of these corrupted files, and then I just get an error message, and it just refuses to continue, right? It just stops, and then I'm stuck. I'm like, okay, what happened? Like, why did I get this error message? With Windows computers, it's like it just continues with the job. Like if it can't copy this file, it gives up on that file and then just goes to the next one. So it will copy all the files it can copy, and then it'll say, oh, these 3 files, we couldn't copy them. So we got all the ones we could, but the ones we couldn't, these are the ones we couldn't copy. Perfectly logical. On this MacBook, you try and grab all these files. When it hits a file that it can't copy, it just cancels the entire copy job. And now you have no idea which ones copied and which ones weren't. So now you've got to somehow open up 2 windows and go through them one by one. Okay, that one copied, that one did, that. And it just is like, well, for Pete's sake, just if I want to copy 50 files, copy all the ones you can and then tell me which ones didn't make it. Like, don't cancel the whole job. Anyway, I don't understand that either. That drives me crazy. But the worst thing, and I'm going to raise the number to 20% because I'm so annoyed, and it could be 20%. I was so annoyed that I didn't really do a deep dive and figure this out. up to 20% of all the video I shot yesterday is just gone. There's just nothing but corrupted files that the GoPro screwed up, basically. Interestingly enough, now that I'm, tearing apart GoPro once again, DJI, their main competitor, has announced the DJI Action 4, which is pretty wild. I mean, I'm waiting to see what kind of a camera this turns out to be, because DJI is not known for releasing a new camera every year. Like GoPro releases, a brand new GoPro every year, like in September. So there's the most recent one is the Hero 11. This year they're going to put out the Hero 12. Next year they'll put out the Hero 13. They put out a new one every year. DJI historically hasn't done that. And the Action 3, I don't know when it came out, but I mean, it's way less than a year old. It might even have come out 5 months ago or something. I mean, it's a very new camera. And there were all these rumors online that DJI was going to release the Action 4, the new version of their action camera. So at first, nobody really believed it. It says, there's no way. But it's looking more and more true that the Action 4 is going to be released in July. So yeah, it makes me think, because the one big advantage the DJI products have over the GoPros, they have a lot of advantages, but one of the main ones is the reliability, because GoPros have such a reputation for being unreliable. Sure, I think with a GoPro you'd get better video quality overall. It's a better camera, but if the thing loses 20% of your video files throughout the day, what's the point? Like give me slightly inferior video quality, please. At least record all the video files when I hit the record button and save them to the memory card. How hard is that to do? I mean, that's the baseline when you're using a video camera. Sure, you want good video quality and audio and this and frame rate, and you want all this fancy stuff, but at the very basic level, you want the thing to record the video and save it to a video card, to a memory card. I mean, that's the minimum, and the GoPro fails on that front so many times. It drives me crazy. Anyway, setting aside all those problems, the GoPro corrupting so many files, freezing, glitching so many times. It was so funny. At the end of the day, I was at this lookout point. I mean, the whole point of this village that I went to is that it's in a beautiful setting. Because to be honest, the village, here I am, spoiler alert, this is, I should be saving this for later in this video, but spoiler alert, the village itself is not beautiful. No one on this planet is going to walk up and down the streets of that village and just go, wow, what a beautiful village. No, it's a typical Indonesian farming village, very rough, very run down. I mean, I haven't watched any of the videos, but I've seen the thumbnails and things from Paddy Doyle's videos. He went to Switzerland this summer. So he was in Switzerland, and of course, Switzerland, I mean, it's just got the most stunning imagery on the planet. And then in his thumbnails and things, and actually I saw the thumbnails of his videos and I was like, what? That can't even be real. It doesn't look real. It looks fake. Like nothing can be that scenic. But then I saw the name of the place he visited. So then I went over to Google, typed in the name of that village so I could see all the Google images of these villages in Switzerland. And those villages are beautiful. I mean, just jaw-dropping. I mean, just stunning. It's like, wow. Though in a way, when I was looking at all these pictures of Switzerland and thinking about Switzerland, I did have this random thought that it's too perfect. I mean, it's boring. I mean, okay, that is the most perfect village in the most perfect setting I have ever seen, but I have no interest ever of going there. I mean, it looks fake. It really does look artificial. Like nothing needs to be that perfect. And from that point of view, this village in Indonesia, one of the most 5 beautiful villages in the world, apparently. I mean, it's just a rough and tumble, broken down kind of average Indonesian place. In fact, during the day, I overshot this village originally, and instead of going up the road to this village, I went past it without seeing it, and I went up some other roads, and I eventually figured out I went in the wrong direction, but I thought, who cares? You know, it's all beautiful here. So I followed this road all the way to the top in a big loop, and at the very top, there was a village there. And I thought, maybe this is the beautiful village, but no, it was a different one. But that village was actually more beautiful than the one that was supposed to be beautiful, like the tourist attraction. So in all my driving on the scooter, I went through all these beautiful villages, like gorgeous farming village, gorgeous farming village, gorgeous farming village. And then when I finally got to the one that's supposed to be the most beautiful, it was actually the least attractive of all the ones I had gone through, which is kind of funny. But it does have a beautiful setting, right? And the point I was working my way towards is that at least this village, not as beautiful as the Swiss village, like not even in the same league, but this Indonesian village for me was much more attractive because it was a real place. You know, it felt like a vibrant place where people live. It was an interesting place. All the buildings and the houses and the roads, the roads are just like full of potholes, and you're banging and crashing along. The roads are like this steep, and it's like, yeah, it's a rough and tumble place. And it's a place where people live and work, and it was just a very interesting place, much more interesting for me than one of those model Swiss villages where everything is so perfect, like it's a fairy tale, That would feel so fake to me. This place has the advantage of being very real. Anyway, I was telling the story that at the end of the day, I decided to end the video at the scenic lookout point. So I guess what I was originally trying to say was that the village itself was not that attractive, but the scenery, the lookout point, which I stumbled across completely by accident, really was beautiful. And rather than keep recording video all the way back to here, I didn't see any point to doing that. It would just be me babbling away, with a view of the road ahead of me. So I didn't feel I needed to do that. So I decided to end the video with me standing at the lookout point, with the scenery behind me, and I'm holding the GoPro like this, and I'm recording a conclusion to my video, like see you in the next video kind of thing. And here I am at the beautiful viewpoint. And of course, there's all these people around, other, tourists, all local visitors there for the day, because there's a lookout point with all these, there's like 5 or 6 different restaurants or cafes. And you can sit there at these tables and get some food and some cold drinks, hot drinks, and just enjoy the scenery. So there's all these local visitors there. They've come for the day, local tourists. And of course, I'm the most interesting thing around for them because, oh, look, there's a boule is here. And then I'm standing there like a doofus, with my GoPro, like, hello, yeah. So of course everybody's watching me do this. Hey, look, there's a guy, he thinks he's a YouTuber. So there I am, like a doofus, recording this grand conclusion to the day's events, and right mid-sentence, the battery dies. And it's like GoPros are evil. They are evil, evil cameras because they know exactly when the battery shouldn't die. Like the worst possible time for the battery to run out of power, the GoPro knows. So this is my conclusion. This is the last video I'm going to shoot for the day. I'm all done, and I'm just going to pack up the GoPro and then just enjoy, driving back to this village. And right there, like the very last sentence out of my mouth, beep, runs out of power. And I'm like, oh, for Pete's sake. So I have to do it all over again, which I don't generally like to do. I don't shoot my videos with a script or anything, obviously. And if I make a mistake, I don't repeat it over and over and over again until I get it right? But in this case, it was the very last sentence, and it's like, well, I can't leave it like that. It's just sort of like it just cuts off. So I've got to find a piece of shade, and I get out my camera bag, and I'm dismantling the whole GoPro, everything I've just talked about ad nauseum, how you have to dismantle the thumb screw and release it from my grip, and then I've got to open the door and pull out the GoPro, finally put in a new battery, reassemble the whole thing, and I got to go back out there again. And there's this one lookout platform. It's like a cement patio built on stilts, that's raised out. That's the spot where you get the nicest view, and it sort of sits forward from all the little coffee places, so all these people will get a perfect view of me. So they already saw me out there like a doofus, doing this conclusion, and now I had to do it all over again, right? So then I go out there and I do this whole thing. Everybody's looking at me, everybody's watching me, and I, record my conclusion to the day's events, and the file corrupted. The GoPro froze. So I'm in the middle of this thing, and I go, and the GoPro froze. It's like, oh, for Pete's sake. I'm going to take this GoPro, and I'm going to just sling it out over the cliff and just hurl it into the rice fields. I'm done with this thing. So annoyed. But anyway, I had to go back into the shade, take the whole GoPro apart, pull the battery, put it back in, get it running again. I go back out there, third time I record my conclusion, and this time it saved the file. It's like, oh, thank goodness, I'm done. And then last night, when I came back here and I'm copying all the video files, that video file, even though it saved in the GoPro, I saw it save, and I don't remember if I previewed it or not, but it saved. The GoPro didn't glitch, it didn't freeze, but that third attempt, that third video, is corrupted. It's one of those 20% that for some reason is just a corrupted file, and there's no video there at all. It's just like, it's too much. The technology for shooting video is overwhelming. It's just too difficult. I don't know how other people do it. I honestly don't know. Wow. Anyway, those are all my technology problems. Going all the way back to the beginning of the day, the positive side was when, I got my gas, I filled the gas tank, and then I rode my scooter along the road, and then spent an hour and a half, whatever, getting to this village. And that was spectacular. I loved every minute of that. So much fun riding a scooter, to be able to keep up with traffic, because when I'm out there on my bicycle, of course, everybody is passing me all the time. And it's kind of overwhelming, the roar of the traffic, everybody passing you, the chaos, the heat, the climbing uphill, the difficulty. It's tough. Riding a bicycle here is really, really tough. And then to suddenly be on this scooter where for the most of the journey, like the journey from here over the shoulder and around the other side, I was constantly going up and down. It's constant climbing, up and going down. I never even noticed on the scooter. Like the climb up to the shoulder on a bicycle would have been a big deal. It would have been like, breathing heavy and getting, it's a grind even to get up to the shoulder, to get to this next city of Pajang on a bicycle. That would be a tough thing to do. On the scooter, I didn't even notice that there was an incline. It wasn't until I got to the town and I was like, oh yeah, that was all uphill. I didn't even notice because, the scooter does the work for you. It was just so much fun. It brought me back to my days in Thailand riding the scooter, to my days in Taiwan riding a scooter, just lovely days. It's so easy. It's so much fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And the scenery, even here, like getting from my village to the main road, gorgeous scenery. And it was almost a little bit annoying. I guess that's the annoying side of having a scooter, because you're moving faster and you have to keep your eyes on the road. And then off on my right, of course, were all the gorgeous hillsides with all the rice paddies, and so you're riding, the scooter, you're sort of like, you can't just gun the throttle and then, look over and just gaze at the scenery, because you're going to hit a pothole and you're going to die, or you're going to hit a truck and you're going to die. So basically you get glances. You can only, you got to keep your eyes on the road, but you can occasionally just sort of glance, say, oh, look how beautiful that, oh, so beautiful. You get little glimpses of the gorgeous scenery. I stop a lot, even on a scooter. I just make a habit of, okay, let's, I'm not in a hurry. So what I'll do is I'll scan ahead on the road and look for a safe place. So a wide turnout, big driveway or something, and then I'll slow down, turn into that driveway, and then I'll just gaze at the scenery for a while, and then I'll rejoin traffic. So I do take in the scenery, but on a bicycle, it's more natural. You can just sort of ride your bike, and you can just be looking out that way, because you can still see the road with your peripheral vision. You're not worried about running into anything because you're the slowest thing on the road. And then you just see more on the bicycle. You do absorb more of the beauty of your surroundings. So that is a problem with the scooter. You cover a lot of ground. But man, yeah, the scenery was gorgeous. And then when I got through the city, Pajang, left the main road, and now I'm going around the base of the volcano and then up through the hillsides. It was just stunning. Though that scenery, in terms of a YouTube video, would be better served by a drone. I talked a lot about that on the video. It was like the perfect place to fly a drone. I mean, from at eye level, it was beautiful. I mean, it was stunning. It was gorgeous. But I can only imagine what drone video of that area would look like. So, yeah, it would have been nice to get that. Though, again, as I talk about in the Planet Doug video, I do find drone video a little bit problematic because it's fake in a way. If I flew a drone there and then I showed people on YouTube, look how gorgeous it is here, you should come visit this place, it's a bit of a lie. It's a bit of an illusion, because yeah, it was beautiful from the drone's perspective, but if you follow my advice and you come here to see that beautiful scenery, well, you're not going to see it because you're not flying in a drone, you're down on the ground level on your scooter. So you only see what I see from the scooter. So having a video only of what you see at ground level is a more honest travel video, because as gorgeous as the drone video would be, if you came to the same area, that's not what you're going to see. You're not going to see that. So it's a bit of an illusion, all this drone video. So anyway, I think about that quite often. And to be honest, not much happened, like in the sense of events during the day. So there really isn't much else to talk about, because nothing happened. I got on the scooter and I drove through some beautiful scenery. I got to the village, and as I said, I discovered the lookout point by accident. When I first got to the village, I didn't really see all these coffee shops, the lookout points. And I guess that's partially because you're coming up from down below. So you don't see the scenery behind you. Like, I'm going up a very steep hill and I see this village, bunch of buildings, and then I ride into the village, and now I'm in the middle of the village streets, and there's buildings on both sides of me, and I'm like, all right, I think this is the place, but what is so beautiful about this? And I missed the scenery because it was behind me as I was riding up, if you see what I mean. The scenery was over there. And then I'm riding my scooter around and up and down all these little roads, and I'm thinking, all right, so this is the village. I don't get the big deal. I don't understand why this is one of the most beautiful villages in the world. Okay, we'll see. But then, just as I was probably just going to leave, because I didn't really see anything to do there, and it's not like I didn't feel inspired to get off the scooter and go walking through the village, because it was like every other village in Indonesia, and I've been in hundreds of them. There didn't seem to be there's nothing special there to record on video. And so I was just going to turn around and just ride out, and then keep probably riding around the district, and then ride back here again. But then I was at the end of this one road, and I saw there's a mosque at the end of the road, and just out of the corner of my eye, I saw kind of a very steep driveway that went into what I thought was a parking area for the mosque. And there seemed to be a bit of an opening where there was a view. You could see some of the valley down below. And I thought, oh, let's zip down there and see what that looks like. So just by accident, I zipped down this little driveway, and then, oh, that was the viewpoint. You're supposed to come at it from the other side, and I came at it from the back. And I probably never would have noticed it otherwise. Because as I found out later, the main entrance, the one off the main road, I mean, I've been talking about how steep the roads was. You know, here's the steep road. The driveway into this lookout point was like this. I mean, it was just, so you would go right by it. You wouldn't even see it. It wouldn't even occur to you to ride your scooter up that thing. It was so steep. So I never saw it. I didn't know there's a viewpoint there, and I came around from the back. And then I rode my scooter into what I thought was the mosque parking lot. And it was just like, whoa, oh, this is what everybody comes here for. Because there was one big coffee shop area, and then there was another one, and then there was the main road, and on the other side of the road, there were like 3 more of these coffee shops at different levels, and they built little tables and benches and shaded things. I don't know what you call them. You know, where you sit. There's no chairs in them, but you sit on the floor with the. You know, anyway, you sit at all these areas and take in the beautiful scenery. And it was like, that's what this village is all about. People come here to park their car, park their scooter, pick one of these places, and then enjoy some hot, cold drinks and some lunch while taking in the view down below. So, okay, this is what everyone is talking about. This is the point of this village. And I kind of came across it by accident. So then I parked my scooter there, and it wasn't very busy. It was Saturday, right? I think today, Sunday, would be a lot busier because people here seem to have Sunday off. Friday, of course, is the main day for people going to the mosque, going, to prayers. But I think people still go to school on Friday. I was talking to Chati, my friend here, because I picked up the scooter from him on a Friday. And then when I was speaking to him, I said, oh, okay, so Friday you don't go to school. And he says, no, we have half a day. So on Friday, we go to school for half the day. We get out early so that we can go to prayers at the mosque later in the day. So even Friday really isn't a day off, and Saturday isn't a day off. So Sunday is the one day off. And then that lookout point would be very, very busy. But yesterday was Saturday, so I was there on a Saturday. And there weren't that many people there, but I think on a Sunday it would be quite crowded and quite popular. And of course, I was there midday. I'm always there at, probably the worst time of day. Most people might show up there for sunset. I don't know where the sun sets from there. But, people would show up later in the day, in the afternoon, when it's cooler, I guess, and the sun isn't quite as strong. But anyway, even though there weren't many people there, I think it would be quite popular. And, a little restaurant that I went into, really nice people, very friendly. They had a laminated menu and nothing fancy on the menu. We're not talking about fancy dining. I just ordered nasi goreng and mee goreng, rice. I ordered one rice dish and one noodle dish, because I do find, nasi goreng is like the classic dish that everybody has at places like this. And it's never enough for me. It's a snack. It's not a meal. So if I go out for lunch and someone says, oh, you got to have nasi goreng for lunch. Well, yeah, I could have nasi goreng, but I got to have something else too. I got to have 2 of them at least. So I have nasi goreng and I have mee goreng, and I got an iced cappuccino, which was really good. And then I just sat there for a while, enjoying the view, shot a little bit of video, as my GoPro froze and glitched and battery died and corrupted files. I went through all that nonsense. And then, it was time to go. I shot a time lapse all the way back. But, I don't have enough GoPro batteries because I was running 2 cameras at the same time. So I had a GoPro. Yeah, and I'm not really happy about this. I probably shouldn't babble about this for too long because I talk about it so much. But it's such a big part of my life. I worked so hard to figure out a way to mount the GoPro on the scooter, but I really couldn't get it right because even with the scooter, the handlebars are here, and then it's really close, relatively close to my face, and I want the camera to be in front of me, quite a distance away, to get a nice expansive view. But on the scooter, there was just no way to do it. I figured out a system with my bicycle, the broomstick. And then last night, as I was reviewing the video that I shot on the scooter, I was editing a video that I shot on my bicycle. And when I saw the video from my bicycle broomstick, it was like, oh, that I like. Because the camera is far in front of me, gives a wide shot of me on the bike with all the scenery behind me. So, okay, that's what I want. But the GoPro video from the scooter, when it wasn't glitching or corrupting files, it was pretty close on me. It's too tight and angled upwards. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't really mount the camera properly. But anyway, I had a GoPro on the scooter and the GoPro on the harness on my chest mount. So I was running two of them simultaneously for pretty much the entire day. And which means, of course, you need twice as many batteries. I have 5 GoPro batteries, and if you're just shooting with a GoPro, 5 batteries is more than enough to get even me through a day. But if I'm using 2 batteries at the same time, then I only have, basically I can go through 2 batteries each to get me to 4, and then I have 1 more left over that I can use in one or the other. And by the end of the day, I ran out of batteries. I still had 2 that were sort of ongoing, still had power left. And then when I left from the lookout point, I set both cameras to time-lapse or zoom. What are they? Time? I can't remember the GoPro name for it. It's not really a time-lapse, because a time-lapse is when the camera is stationary. This is like time warp. I think that's the GoPro, time warp. So it's like a time-lapse, but with the camera moving. So anyway, I set both GoPros to time warp, both pointing forward. And then I was hoping to record the entire trip from the lookout point all the way back to this village. But of course, both cameras died partway. Both batteries died before I made it back to the village. So I only got part of the journey. So in fact, I don't even have enough GoPro batteries to get me through one normal day. Kettle is on the boil for my second cup of coffee. And I'm making another cup of coffee because I have more thoughts on my mind. Yeah, I was thinking about yesterday's small adventure from a YouTube point of view, because when I made the decision to rent the scooter, it made a lot of sense to me because there's a whole bunch of reasons it made sense to me. But I figured I'm here in this very beautiful region of Bukittinggi, and a lot of the places I want to visit are a bit challenging on a bicycle. I mean, you can visit these places on a bicycle if you are bike touring. Like, for example, I couldn't on a bicycle go to this village and back comfortably in one day. Well, I couldn't make it to that village at all because it's too steep. But you could go to a nearby city, cycle there, stay in a hotel, next day hike up to the village, hike back down again, and then you ride your bike to the next town. So it's like a long continuous journey going from place to place to place to place. And then the bicycle could make sense for visiting these places. But I'm sitting here in this village of Sarik, and there are lots of places within day trip distance, so there's this village I wanted to visit. There's Lake Maninjau I want to go to. It's like 40 kilometers away. There's Harau Valley in that direction. There's the city of Padang. So there are all these places that are kind of day trip distances away. It's just a gorgeous area. And I thought, that might be an interesting thing to do. At least give it a try. So I rented the scooter for 7 days, 100,000 rupiah per day, and just see how it goes. And my plan was to go on all these little day trips. And I thought from a YouTube point of view as well, it would be more interesting for people. Because if you're riding a bicycle, you're not really going from famous place to famous place. It's just a day in the life of a dude on a bicycle, because you don't have enough speed or power to make it in one day to the next famous place, right? And YouTube videos, obviously by their nature, are more attractive if there's something in the title that people recognize. Otherwise, why watch it? If it's just a dude on a bike cycling down some random mountain road in Indonesia, well, there's no hook there unless you care about that person in particular and their journey and their thoughts and their activities. But if you have something like, this village, I was thinking, what could the YouTube video title be? It's like, one of the 5 most beautiful villages in the world. It's like, whoa, got to see this place. Or Harau Valley. I mean, it's not a household name, but Harau Valley is one of the tourist attractions of Bukit Tinggi, Lake Mininjau. So like if you look at popular YouTube travel videos, most of them will have a name in it. It's like, 2 days in Paris. It's like, oh, Paris, I know Paris. That's a recognizable name. It needs something that people recognize. And then I thought, well, doing these day trips, if I have the scooter for 7 days and I go to 5 places, it's like the Harau Valley, Lake Mininjau, most beautiful village in the world, Padang City. Each one has a place name. And thought that would be kind of cool. So that's one of the things I was thinking about from the point of view of renting a scooter, like doing all these day trips, come back to the village, there and there, there and there. But when I was on my day trip yesterday, it felt a little bit aimless. Like, what is the point? Like, what is the story here? And the story for me was the scooter and setting up the camera gear. I mean, that was the struggle. That was the new exciting thing. But if you take that out of the equation, it's really just driving. Like the whole day for me was basically just driving. And for me, that's great. I mean, I had a wonderful day of driving. I spent hours and hours and hours just sitting on the scooter, curving in and out of this gorgeous mountain rice paddy scenery. And then I stopped for some nasi goreng and iced cappuccino, and then I drive and drive and drive. I mean, it's just I do it again today and I do it again tomorrow. But then now you're looking at all the video of that. Well, what do you have? You've got 5 hours of somebody driving a scooter down beautiful roads. I mean, that can only get you so far, like what is the story there? And I think for people, like even for me, I recently discovered a new couple that are traveling by motorcycle around the world, and they recently came to Indonesia, and I watched all their Indonesian videos. They have like 8 or 9 of them so far. And I watched them all in a row because they're on a journey, right? So the journey involves starting in the United States, planning the trip, getting all their gear, flying to Jakarta, setting up the motorcycle, then day 1 from A to B, day 2 from B to C, day 3 from C to E. It's a journey, and each day adds to it. But so that kind of makes you interested. Okay, they got this far, their motorcycle broke down, they had all these adventures, they got injured, and now what happens on the next day? So there's an actual something they're trying to do. They're trying to ride their motorcycle in this loop around the island of Java. And then you're invested in their story because you want to see if they make it. They go from here, then here, then here, then here, then here, back to the beginning. So there is a little bit of a hook there because of the story. And I often think about those things. Like, it's really not that important because it's not real. It's like an artificial achievement. And most travelers do this. They set off and they're like, okay, I'm going to ride all the way from the northern tip of Alaska to the southern tip of Argentina, and that becomes their goal. But it's an artificial goal. There's no reason why it's valuable, to ride from the north to the south. Well, big deal. Like everyone who goes to Africa, it's like Cairo to Cape Town. I'm going to ride my motorcycle from Cairo to Cape Town, from northern Africa to the southern tip of Africa. And that they set this up as a goal in their mind, and then they have all these struggles to achieve that goal. But that goal isn't real. Like they could have said, well, what I'm going to do is ride my motorcycle in a spiral all the way across the country. You know, no one has done that before. No one has crossed Uganda in a spiral before. And then they have all these adventures as they try to achieve their spiral route. Well, yeah, no one has done it before, but why would anyone do it? Like, it's an artificial objective that you create, and everybody does that when they travel. So I do start to think, well, okay, these motorcycle guys, the story is interesting to me because they're trying to do this loop around Java, and that invests me in their story, but really, why should it? So why should a journey in a circle be more interesting than a series of day trips like I'm about to do? And yet, when I did that day trip yesterday, I just rode to the village and I rode back to my starting point. It's like, okay, you rode there and then you rode back to where you started. Like you ended the day where you started the day. So like there's no drama there, you know, there's like, okay, you drive there and you drive back again. Like, where is the story? Where's the adventure? Where's the challenge? So even an artificial travel goal, you know, there's another guy I've been following. I haven't seen one of his videos for a long time, but he decided he wanted to ride his motorcycle all the way from the most western point of Indonesia all the way to the most eastern point of Indonesia. And that's his goal. And when he talks to people about his trip, you know, I want to be the first person to ride all the way from west to east. And again, it's a completely artificial, meaningless, pointless achievement. And it's artificial. He just created it out of nothing. And yet it does get you invested in his story because he's trying to accomplish something. Now here on Planet Doug, you know, my goal is 5 day trips, village and back, Lake Meninjau and back, Padang and back, Harau Valley and back. You know, there's no continuous adventure to follow in that. It's just a series of day trips, you know. So I was thinking about that yesterday. Yeah. But anyway, I do enjoy having the scooter. Yeah. At least for 7 days. I don't know if I will keep renting it or not. I'll figure that out. It depends how much it costs, things I want to do. You know, it might be better for me to get back on the bicycle in terms of how I feel. The bicycle does feel more natural to me. But scooter is a lot of fun. Yeah, no question about that. Well, I think that is going to be it for this morning. I have my second cup of coffee going, and I had some other things I wanted to talk about. But I think just telling the story of yesterday's scooter trip is enough. Yeah, I can even feel my voice is kind of being worn out from all this animated storytelling about GoPro horrors. I'm not sure what I'm going to do today. I'm not feeling that well again, which is a bit unfortunate. I just ended up with some stomach trouble, and I was in the bathroom for most of last night, and I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get on the scooter and go off on another trip. I think what I might do today is I'll just ride around my own neighborhood just for fun, do some exploring on the scooter, take advantage of having the scooter. And then I will edit video and work on some videos, and I think I'm going to plan a trip. I'm not sure so I'll leave on another trip tomorrow morning rather than today. And I'll go to either Lake Meninjau or to the Harau Valley. So I'll decide which one to go to. And I may spend the night at these places because it feels like they're kind of special. So like a day trip I think what I'll do is I'll plan for a day trip to ride to Lake Meninjau and then ride back here again. But I will pack as if I'm spending the night. So I'll just bring a change of clothes and some toiletries, things like that. And then if I decide to spend the night there, then I can do it. But I think I'll plan for a day trip. Yeah, something like that. But if I do go to the Harau Valley, I'm pretty sure that will involve 1 or 2 nights in a hotel. So it won't be a day trip. It's too far to go. I would go to the city of Payakumbuh, spend the night there, and then Harao Valley is kind of a day trip from Payakumbu. You go out into the valley and look around there and then come back again. So yeah, it'd probably be 2 nights in Payakumbu. So I think it makes the most sense to go to Lake Mininjau first. That's the easier option. So I think I'll spend the day doing the logistics for that trip, planning for that trip, and then I'll go there tomorrow, either spend the night or yeah, make it a simple day trip. So that is it. I'm going to shut down for this morning, my morning journal. Enjoy my next cup of coffee, and I'll see you in the next video.